right, good there. All right, now I'm going to share my screen with you guys. How's that look? Good. All right. So today, um, today we made about $1,700, $1,800. It's sort of floating at the moment because of some Square shorts that I am in. We'll see if these work out, but I am liking them still. So in Square, we'll see how that sets up. I do like. I'll sort of quickly review with you why I like Square. I mean, I do and I don't. I'm a little bit questionable on it. The first reason I'm a little bit questionable is I don't know whether this 50 SMA is going to hold, right? That's my only concern is that 50 SMA below is sort of concerning me, that it might just maintain here. But I really like how it's stuck under that 66. So I'm very interested to see if this little push into 66 here just gets stacked up, right? The sellers just start to push this thing back down. That's really my main interest. If I go to the 4 hour, I know that this is a pretty big level here. If I can zoom in. So if I go here, 4 hour, this little 66 level there, little 66 here, 66 there, 66 there. So if we can stay under 66, I think you trade back to 63. But that 50 SMA might be a concern. All right. So let's start today by going into let's just start with we'll start with the Boeing trade, right? And why I held Boeing over the weekend. I mean, obviously today it's been absolutely crushed and really nice profit there. But for me, guys, right, looking at this chart, there's just no signs of strength, right? At no point here did Boeing make a higher high. No point did it show any ability to actually go higher. And so I just sort of stuck in this put idea, right? I was in, I was out. Over the weekend, I did hold some. But in Boeing, just if you're looking at this chart, right, no higher highs, no ability to move higher, lower lows, right, turning into rejections all into Thursday, into Friday. So I was willing to give it a little bit of time. And today, yeah, I mean, today, just the ultimate give up move. This is sort of the move that you've been waiting on, is today on Boeing. So not really much analysis to go over there. We talked about that all week. I figured let's just go ahead and break down. Let's break down Square and let's break down Microsoft. So Square was a day trade this morning. And the reason I took a day trade on Square this morning, which was pretty short-lived, it wasn't that great of a trade, was the 50 SMA rejection. So if I go into this chart, let me zoom in. Let me put on the after hours. And so this morning, right, I was basically just saying, all right, the 50 SMA broke, right? And I saw these two candle rejections. And so I went ahead and I set up a short with the stop loss originally over that 50. But after entering it, I said I'd give it the 66 level. But I was willing to, after seeing that little 50 SMA rejection, I was willing to take a short there, right? Because I know the level's rejecting. I know it's a big level. I know I can either stop out above that level if it sort of breaks above. If it does something like this, I'll stop out, right? Or if I want to give it more time, I'll go ahead and give it up to that 66 where I know there's big time supply. Now, I went ahead and I ended up taking profits on this move after getting this. We got this little consolidation under that 50 SMA right here, right? Nice 50 SMA rejection. You got a little bit of a flag right there, and you got your breakdown. So a short-lived trade, right? Nothing crazy. I would have loved to see more continuation. I started to notice these wicks, right? And that is why I started to exit. So here's Square. Let me go ahead and do this. Let me find Square. That's right here. That is right here. These ones right here. So Square, you can see 937 entered, exited, some at 941, 943, 948 for a small win, $292. So nothing crazy there. Not really anything that I'm, too excited about to share with you. but I figured I would. The other reason why I took profits on that square drop is because, right, and this is very important. The other reason I was taking profits on that square drop is because at that time, right, the ES was here. All right, so I was short square. I saw the ES starting to hold, and I said, hey, I probably should take some profits here, right? I don't really like that square's not really breaking down. I don't like that the ES is holding demand, right? And that's something that I think a lot of people have trouble with, right? Because they like a play, but they are too stubborn to, sometimes we are too stubborn to accept what's in front of us, right? And so I said, I have to accept, I like the square downside I got. I like this little rejection that I got. But if that ES holds that demand, which is very likely, right, the square's going to bounce. And so my last exit was at 948, which was basically as square started to push to the upside, and I got out for a small profit of $1.52 per contract. So I knew, right, at that time, I got a little bit of follow through, but I saw the ES starting to maintain demand. And so I have to be, if I'm trading short term, I cannot be short leveraged here into a demand hold, right? And I cannot be long leveraged into a, let's say, ES is a little messy there, but the NASDAQ, right? I didn't want to, as we talked about this morning, I was entering longs up here, right? And so this NASDAQ and ES, these levels that we talk about on a daily basis, they need to guide our intraday decisions, right? So if we're short, right, in the morning and we see ES holding demand, we're like, all right, I probably should get out. I don't really think the ES is going to break here. And if it doesn't, I think my individual stock is going to push higher, right? And if it does, then we have to protect ourselves. But the problem with trading is, you're going to see that ES here. You're going to see that ES hold. You're going to be short and you're not going to accept it, right? You're going to say, I don't believe it, right? I don't believe it. It's not going to hold, right? I want to hold. I want to hold my puts. And then this happens. And yeah, that's typically what happens, right? Then you lose on the trade, and you understand why after. You say, "Hey, ES held demand. I don't know why I was short," right? And so that's how I lost, last week a few times. So that was very key on that square trade. But let's jump into Microsoft. That was the big boy today, and yeah, Microsoft. You know what, guys? Honestly, I'm not gonna get too excited about a late day trade, but honestly, this downside on Microsoft, in my opinion, could be absolutely meaningless. This is exactly what we saw here on Thursday, right? Look at this. Thursday, today. This is potentially just a slow pullback that people forget about Microsoft on the day, right? This is what happens. People forget about Microsoft, right? Traders forget about Microsoft on Thursday because it's going down. Fuck Microsoft. I don't want to watch it anymore, right? It's going down. Then, right, it holds demand, and the next day you wake up and you're like, holy shit, how did Microsoft get up to new highs? So this is very potentially the same day here, right? This is potentially the day that you should be entering Microsoft instead of tomorrow when you wake up and Microsoft is at 400 and you're asking, should I be entering Microsoft longs at 400, right? So it's an interesting watch. I don't think I'd be just sort of jumping head first into it, but that is potentially the exact same day here and here, right? Pullback day into demand. Pullback day into demand. Pullback day into potential demand. That could be, right, the proper entry on Microsoft if you are looking to swing trade it. So just something to keep in mind. So what did I do on Microsoft today? I longed Microsoft as it pulled back. Now, the reason I longed Microsoft, a few reasons, right? Number one, I knew Microsoft was a beast, right? That's number one. I knew Microsoft had some strength behind it. I know it's been a strong name. And I know that a pullback is likely to be bought up close to the previous day highs. So right in this area, around 388, 389 area, I was looking to target a pullback here for a long off this level. Now, I didn't quite get that long. And so this goes back to the thing I talked about in my last video, that I like to take starter positions, right, and scale into the trade just in case I don't get the full pullback. So Microsoft, in this instance, just this trade here, right before that Fed president came on and sort of clapped this thing. On this initial push to the upside after the pullback, it didn't get back to my demand, right? It never got back to the level I wanted it to get to. So I'm okay starting a position, right? Starting a position with the knowledge, or at least with the understanding, that it can move lower, right? And this, again, is the problem that a lot of traders have. I'm in Microsoft, right? And I'm out Microsoft, right? I'm in, I'm out, right? No, right? If you're in here, you're not exiting until this breaks, okay? You have solidified yourself. You have locked yourself in a cage, all right? If you enter here on Microsoft, you are not allowed to exit that trade until it breaks below the previous day lows, previous day highs. If you exit Microsoft before it breaks below this previous day high, you are totally, right, against everything in terms of technical analysis, right? There's absolutely no reason to be, I mean, you got Thursday highs, but it's sort of messy. I mean, I guess you could call this Thursday highs. I would never trade off this, right? I mean, it's there. I see why it did hold there. So you're right about that, D. Definitely held that Thursday high. But this is more structured in my eyes. But yeah, it is there. I see what you're saying. I mean, it's just a wick high, so I personally wouldn't trade off that kind of wick, like as a demand level. But that is where it held intraday, so you could have used it. But, if you're longing here on a pullback and you say, okay, I like the pullback, I like the potential retest long off 388.60 off the previous day highs. If you get an early entry here and you exit because you're down on it, right, and you exit before this level breaks, you have no structure to your trading, right? You're not trading with any type of structure, with any type of risk off of any technical levels, right? You're just trading in thin air. This is trading in thin air. So I was willing to take entries here, but I was also willing to add into this, right? I was not exiting this trade until this broke below yesterday's highs. With that, there's no doubt, no way, right? Because this could have been today the best entry long for this push. This might be where Microsoft still needs to come down to before it actually finds anything to the upside today. So I was entering, and in this situation, right, I actually just got a killer entry, right? I was entering here pretty quickly after entering. We started to get that upside. We started to get that upside move, and took a little bit of patience to get the full move that I was looking for, because this was the next thing that happened, right? This was the next little intraday management that had to take place here. So I entered long, okay? I was in a good position, up nicely, right? And then after we got that little squeeze here, I was watching this little 391, this little area as a retest level, right? So if we look at this 2-minute chart, I sort of drew out this area as a retest because we had this little pivot high, right, that turned into a pretty clear low, right? You can see pivot highs, low, low, right? Wicks off that level, wick off that level. Now, this, right, this candle, this is the devil candle. See, that's the devil candle right there. This is where people exit out of positions without letting the next candle appear, right? This is the devil candle. This is where people panic, right? This is panic time, right? That Microsoft broke that level, right? And you're selling because you're scared to lose, okay? You're selling because, it broke the level, or it broke under maybe your zone, whatever your zone was. Let's say your zone was at, let's just call it, you had your zone at 391, right? Right there. Let's just say you had 391. You broke under it, okay? That does not mean you take a loss, right? This does not mean you take a loss. You have to remember, okay? This is something you need to do when you're trading. You have to remember what time frame you're looking at, okay? This is the 2-minute time frame, right? So should we be taking a position off because of a 2-minute period in time during the entire trading day, okay? At times, yes, right? If Microsoft did this, we're out, okay? We're out. If Microsoft 2-minute candle was, 2% to the downside and it just tanked, yeah, sure. All right, we're taking a loss. But if it's, right, if we're 20 cents under our stop loss, we are not exiting positions, guys. And this is going to save you from a lot of fake outs. The only way you can withstand, right? When I say, and let me try to make as much sense of this as I can. When I say my stop loss is at 391, it does not mean that my stop loss is exactly at 391. My stop loss is 391.50, 390.50, 390.80, right? A little bit of zone there. Let me see what it actually does, right? Let me see. Okay, we broke 391, right? All right, let me see what it actually looks like here, right? Let me at least give it a few minutes. And then look what happens the next candle, right? Next candle, straight back up, and then you're automatically already sort of comfortable in the position again, right? You get this candle, you're back above your stop, right? All things are good, right? So the only way you can have that patience here, to not stop out and to start panicking, right? And what is that? That is position sizing. That is risk. That is being in proper sizing, so you're not having a panic attack if the stock is 10 cents under your stop loss, right? These are emotions that we need to avoid in our trading, right? These are emotions and these short-term moves that cannot fake us out of trades. We need to stay disciplined. We need to keep some kind of mental strength, right? There's going to be plenty of times where you encounter a little 2-minute push under your stop and then a 2-minute flip back above. You do not want to be the person that gets stopped out and faked out of these trades. It's going to happen, and it happens to me a lot still. But today, I did a good job of waiting, right? Yes, it stopped out, right? Yes, it moved under my stop, but I stayed patient, and I waited to see what the next candle would look like. And that was very key, right? And that gave me the confidence to hold after seeing this candle push, right? And basically, after seeing that hold and this little squeeze that we got on Microsoft, I was scaling out of my trade into this move. Now, the reason I was scaling into this trade on the upside, right, was because, one, the lack of upside continuation with the market, right, and two, the NASDAQ at this time, right, was pushing into supply, okay? So this was when we were in Microsoft. We were in around that 10:30, 10:40 time frame. I think it was, like right in here. Let me go to where the hell is it? Yeah, like 10:30, 10:40. I don't know where the hell it is. Yeah, I believe that's when it was. But 10:30, oh, there it is. Hold on. Right here. So I was buying, right? Buying, selling 10:30, 10:27, 10:36 was my last sell. So I was selling into that push on the NASDAQ because I noticed, right here, what did we get? Right? Look at this NASDAQ. We got a 17,000 pretty ugly rejection. At that point, I said, all right, I ain't messing around with this. Microsoft has not followed the upside, right, on the market. And any sign of weakness on the NASDAQ is going to cause Microsoft to start to reject, right? And so I said, all right, I'm taking this off. I'm taking what I got. So you can see after that, you sort of got a little bit jumpy. This was that big drop intraday, and then Microsoft has just sort of faded ever since. Microsoft never quite had the strength that I would have liked today. Microsoft is still heading back into that 388.60 area. This is interesting. What's Square doing? Square's still just dancing. We'll see if Square wants to give up for me today. I'm going to hold it under 66. Tesla, little 220 rejection. So look what Tesla's doing right now. Tesla potentially bear flagging, right, off this 220 level. Huh. That's interesting. I'd watch that. That could be something that sets up like right now. Let's see here. What's the NASDAQ doing? Yeah, if the NASDAQ rejects that 920, you guys want to have a little fun real quick? Let's see. NASDAQ rejection at 920. All right, we need that. But there's too many wicks here. All right, I don't like that. So if you short Tesla here, right, and you take a short here, If that NASDAQ doesn't, if it wicks at this 16.9, you're going to get stopped out of that. I'm actually going to move that to 16.9. All right, so 16.9, I would probably want something a little bit more clear under that 16.9 before trying to short Tesla here. All right, I don't really want to short into those wicks on the NASDAQ at that demand. That's the 16.9 level. That's this little. I know these charts look terrible on here. Let me go back to one. Let me go to the NASDAQ. So 16.9 is like sort of this low from Friday, right? It's sort of wicking again at that 16.9. So if Tesla, right, if the NASDAQ was sort of up here, rejecting supply, if this was where the NASDAQ was right now, and Tesla was bear flagging, and I was seeing some NASDAQ weakness, this could be very interesting. It could still be interesting, right? Look at this 5-minute chart. Previous lows. This is a break and retest bear flag rejection right now. It's very possible. It is very possible. That 1-minute chart's just not fun to look at. I don't know why you don't watch the 1 minute. Yeah, that looks pretty hot. That looks pretty hot. But you need a lot of patience here, right, guys? This is the type of trade that you need a lot of patience because it could do this for the next half an hour, right? This is that trade. This is the same trade as Friday. If you remember me posting that late day live trade, this is the same type of setup, right? But here's the thing that concerns me on this trade. Just this overall nonsense of a day on the futures, right? You're starting to get close to demand lows. You're starting to get close to that 16.9 area. This should be green, sorry. 16.9, right? 20 SMA below. You got the ES starting to push towards demand as well, right? So if the ES is sort of pushing here, right? I don't want to be short anything. I don't want to start short entries in this zone, right? If you're starting shorts here, you're shorting right into ES demand, right? And so you could see that. So I'm not too fond of starting short positions as you approach that ES low. I would have rather been short, on an ES double top high. And the ES, look at this. Where did the ES even reject today? Jesus. I hope no one traded the futures action on Monday. Oh my God. I know someone did. Look at that. Ouch. That is ugly. The ES just sort of, this is just disgusting. Look at this. This is gross. That is gross. That's Friday. Wow. Yeah. No, not interested. All right. This is demand lows. These are really your supply highs. And this is just nonsense. All right. Everything in here is nonsense. I would be careful shorting into 47.85. You can see the ES is starting to at least show something down there. Tesla, yeah, this is why. Like Tesla is going to want to try to push higher, right? If that ES does not break these lows, right? I think for Tesla, right? For Tesla on the intraday, to really start to break down. Now, of course, Tesla can do its own thing, but in my mind, for Tesla to really start to break down here, right, and continue lower, it's going to require the S&P 500 to break these lows, right? That's how I think. That's how you should think, in my opinion. If you're looking for Tesla to break down, you are also battling ES demand lows, right? If I'm looking to short Tesla right now, what else am I against? Right? I am against an ES low that has held all day. Right? And so basically what I'm doing is the exact opposite of what I should be doing. It is shorting at demand and, hoping that a demand level breaks. That's basically what you're doing here. And that's just not going to work long term. So that's why in the easiest way possible, why I would not short Tesla right now is because I don't like to be shorting anything as the ES starts to approach a demand low on the day, especially after you've seen this type of slow price action, right? For the ES to actually flush here and start really moving, something needs to change, right? It's not going to just happen on low volume like you're seeing right now. Now, of course, things can change. The intraday can change. We can start breaking down. It's absolutely possible. But I wouldn't try to anticipate that on a day like today. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. So Square, holding that swing trade, right? I think it's very good swing trade entry. I like it a lot. I'm going to maintain it. Obviously not with the size that I have right now. I'm hoping that I can get a little bit of a drop, that I can scale out some of these contracts. I'm not going to swing trade this whole amount. But what I like to do sometimes is get aggressive and then scale out, right? And then I can swing trade a little bit less size. So this position right here, I would hope to break this down to like 5 contracts. So I would get out of 35 contracts, hopefully for a little bit of a win, right? And then I can hold 5 pretty much risk-free. That's my goal here. So we'll see. That could be something you do with, let's say, 5 contracts into 1, right? So let's say you took 5 contracts short on Square. You get some profits on your 5, right? And then you get some downside. You go from 5 contracts up here to 1 here. And then even if this thing bounces on you, this 1 contract that you had, right, is not going to outweigh the win you just took on your 5. Right? That's how I like to do things. So if I take 40 here, right, let's take 40 contracts. Let's say I take profit into 5. This 5 contracts, if it goes against me, is not going to outweigh the 35 contract win that I just took. Right? That's how I like to do things, sort of. Hopefully that sort of makes sense to you. I don't know if you've heard of, if that's a new concept to you or not, but yeah, I like to do that. All right, that's all I got. Have a fantastic day. I hope you enjoyed it. And I recorded this, so you will see it in the archives. All right, see you later. Peace out.